Welcome back into the Tide Talk podcast. We are live tonight. Jake Thomas, Stacey Blackwood. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Had a rough day at work, but I'm still good enough to come here and talk a little ball with you. So let's jump right in if you want to.
Yeah, we wanted to do this show today to kind of recap and talk about the SEC Media Days. Of course, that started today in Birmingham with Florida, LSU, and South Carolina. So we're going to kind of talk about each of those teams a little bit. And I know this is an Alabama podcast, but we can still talk about some of the SEC teams. And we thought we could come in and kind of talk about each of those. Before we do that, Jake, we do need to tell everybody about our friends at betonline.ag. BetOnline.ag is the place to go to place all your bets. NBA Finals, Game 6 is coming up tomorrow night. So Milwaukee and Phoenix, big time matchup there in the NBA Finals. And BetOnline.ag is where you need to go to place that bet. Of course, the second half of the Major League Baseball season is underway now. So you can head there to betonline.ag and place your bets on those, whether it's future bets, parlays, and of course, they have the 24-hour online casino that is always open. That's betonline.ag. And if you sign up today, you receive a 50% welcome bonus. All right.
Before we get too far in, I just want to say, in the last pod, me and you both had the Suns in 6, but the Bucks have impressed me. I just
They
want
have
to say
all the
that real
momentum
quick.
right now.
They do, and Giannis is the Greek freak. I mean, what else
Man,
can you say about him?
he's unbelievable.
He
I
is.
saw a tweet. I don't even remember who it was. I think it was somebody from Barstool, but it was back in like 2015, and he was laughing at the slam dunk contest because it included somebody named Giannis Antetokounmpo. And so he was throwing shade at Giannis, and now he's one of the best players on the planet. So just kind of crazy how things unfold. And like you said, we both thought Phoenix would win this series in 6, and right now Milwaukee has all the momentum. So we'll kind of see what happens tomorrow night there. And like I said, if you want to place a bet on that game, you need to head on over to betonline.ag. And before we kind of really go any further with the conversation tonight, make sure you do subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music. Then also head on over to YouTube and subscribe there and hit that notification bell and jump in the comment section below. Tonight we're going to be talking about day 1 of the SEC Media Days, which included Florida, LSU, and South Carolina. So we're going to dive into that, but we did want to make sure that everybody is subscribed and hits that notification bell. We're getting closer to 50 subscribers on YouTube, so that's happening pretty quick. So we appreciate everybody that's doing that, and we appreciate everybody that subscribes and listens to our podcast, and we certainly appreciate that. And we got a couple comments so far. Let me jump in here real quick to make sure we can see all that. All right, we got Hampton, our boy Hampton. Yo.
There.
What's up, Hamp? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Hamp. Appreciate you listening.
Then we got our Barner in the group, Jerome twins.
What's up, Romy?
This was not planned either. We both jumped on with hats on backwards and headphones on, ready to go. Hey, and Jake has a new mic set up now, so he's not having to holler anymore. He's got him a pretty solid microphone now, so
your ears are welcome.
Yeah, your ear. Yeah. They'll all say thank you now.
Right.
All right, and Connor Boyd. All right, know him. Appreciate you listening, Connor.
Thank you, Connor.
All right, so the chat is open, guys. If you want to interject or say anything, just hop on in the chat, and we will make sure to include it in the episode. All right, so Jake, let's just talk about the 3 teams that were, at front and center today at SEC Media Days. It started off with Florida, of course, Dan Mullen there. But before we do that, I don't know I know you had to work, so you didn't get a really chance to watch any of it. But did you get a chance to hear anything that Greg Sankey said or anything, or did you just kind of flying?
Yeah, I didn't get to hear any of it or watch any of it. So this is just going to be, really what I'm going to do is just tell you how I feel about the team and how I see things at the moment. So that's where I'm going to go with it. You can fill in the biggest details.
Well, Sankey, his main message was obviously about the vaccine and about how the college game is changing, and of course it is with NIL and
right.
The transfer portal. So that was really just his main talking points, and we'll just kind of dive in on it. Dan Mullen, Florida, of course, Jake. They're having to replace Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Grimes at receiver, Kadarius Toney. A lot of production there on offense. Of course, 5-star quarterback Emory Jones is still there. He's got a lot of experience there in Florida. What are your expectations for the Gators? Last year, their defense was atrocious.
Right.
They bring back Todd Grantham, which is really kind of the surprising move to me. But what are your thoughts on Florida as a team heading into 2021?
To be honest, I kind of see a team in shambles. Yeah, he is a 5-star, but Emory Jones, you really don't know what you're going to get from him because he is a running type quarterback. Are you going to run the same offense under him as you did, Kyle Trask? And if you do, you're going to be in trouble. They do have, good. I heard, I believe it was Corey Burton the other night talking about this on SEC after dark with Steven. And I believe Corey said this, but it might have been Steven, but their offensive game plan does not set up well for running the ball. And it ought to be that they run the ball like crazy, but they don't. They really hadn't had a good running game the last, since Dan Mullen's been down there, to be honest. So, it pretty much is falling on the shoulders of the quarterbacks. And I just don't think Jones is going to be that guy to do it. And if they got to rely on that defense with Todd Grantham as the defense coordinator, oh, you're in trouble. That's just my opinion. I actually commented in their chat and said, me personally, I think Kentucky is going to finish second in the East this year.
Yeah, it would not surprise me whatsoever. Florida's kind of one of those teams where it wouldn't surprise me if they finish second, but it really wouldn't surprise me if they finish fourth or fifth either. So,
me too.
It's a very interesting year for Florida this year. So, I'm with you. I'm not completely sold on Emory Jones. A lot of people are really high on him in the preseason,
right?
But I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not sure that Emory Jones is going to be, that dude. And so I'm not too high on Florida. Of course, Alabama travels there the third week of the season in Gainesville. Even if Florida's not just a top tier team, that's going to be a tough game. The Swamp, they didn't have a chance to fill their stadium last year, so that place is going to be rocking.
Yeah,
come that late September. I believe it's late September is when that game is. So really excited for that matchup there in Gainesville. And I'm with you. Don't trust Todd Grantham. He's unless he just changes his ways.
Right.
He's way too aggressive for this modern era of college football. His defense lacks communication and discipline. So, and what I thought was interesting is Florida sent 2 defensive players to SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they're trying to play some reverse psychology here, but I'm not buying Todd Grantham as a defensive coordinator. I'm not 100% sold on Emory Jones. Is he a talented guy? Of course, but there's no more Kyle Pitts. There's no more Kadarius Toney. So I'm just I think Dan Mullen's a really good coach, but in the SEC you got to be great. So I'm not really just 100% sold on Florida. Going to get to the chat real quick. Had a few more people jump in.
Go ahead.
James, appreciate you jumping in. What's up, fellas? Hey, we appreciate you tuning in. Hamp chimes in again. He says, Jake, I'm right with you on the Kentucky take.
Appreciate it, Hamp.
Yeah, we'll talk about Kentucky probably a little later this week as they during SEC Media Days. We're going to try to do this at least, maybe not every night this week, but kind of recap every SEC team's media days this week. And we'll talk more about Kentucky, when that time comes. But Kentucky's a team that's kind of picking up a lot of steam as we, get closer to the football season.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, keep the comments coming. We appreciate that. Jake, then Coach O come up, SEC media days. Of course, he didn't really answer any questions regarding the Title IX case, and I don't blame him. I mean, what do you expect him to say? I mean,
right, exactly.
But LSU, of course, year before last, they win the championship, undefeated season. Joe Burrow has one of the great seasons of all time as a quarterback. Jamar Chase, a great wide receiver. Jefferson. They had all sorts of talent there on the offense. And then the last year, they go 5-5 during the COVID season. Really, of course, Miles Brennan goes down early in the year with an injury, and he was really playing well before the injury. So they had to rely on a couple of freshmen, TJ Finley and Max Johnson at quarterback. Their defense was kind of up and down. They had to play a lot of different guys. Guys opted out, guys left early. So really wasn't a great year for LSU last year. And Coach O, compounded with the Title IX case and the fact that they went 5-5 last year. I don't want to say he's found himself on the hot seat, but another mediocre to average season, and he could be right there. Just kind of what's your thoughts on the LSU program right now? What are you seeing for them in this 2021 season?
I've seen several people make comment that they could be within, the top 3 of the SEC West. Possibly, it's all going to depend on quarterback play. I know you're really high, or you yourself are really high on Johnson. I think he's going to be really good, but there's a lot of, Stingley's probably one of the best corners, defensive backs in the nation. But there's a lot of other question marks. Talking about that championship year, and everybody talks about it, but one Joe Brady was found during that season too.
Yeah.
So Joe Burrow had an elite season, but he didn't have it the year before Joe Brady come in. So, and then you lose him, their offense kind of, last year. So, it all depends on quarterback play for them. And if they get an identity on defense, that's just my opinion. I think they still maybe be better than Ole Miss and Auburn. So they may finish 3rd in the West. But I think they're the 3rd or 5th range right there, fighting with Ole Miss and Auburn.
Yeah, LSU's a tough team to gauge. They're talented, man. They got a lot of talent on that roster. If Max Johnson or for Miles Brennan, for that matter, plays, above average, they're going to have a solid running game. They may not be a lead on the ground, but they're going to be a solid running football team. Their defense is going to be better this year just because I think they returned 16 total starters from last year's team. So they're a much more experienced group than they were last season. Of course, Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley, possibly the best, corner duo in the country.
Oh, yeah.
So now there's some question marks at safety. Jacoby Stevens is gone. So some question marks there. They were not even good there last year. So there is some question marks in the back end of that defense aside from Stingley and Ricks. So just going to see how that defensive line plays, how the linebacker core meshes together. But I'm not as down on LSU. I think they're still a decent football team just because of the talent, man. They got so much talent on that roster.
They do.
So it would be hard for me to imagine that they finish lower the 3rd. To me, it's Alabama and A&M, and it's really Alabama and then A&M.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of there's LSU, and then there's teams like Arkansas, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. So it's I don't see them finishing worse than 3rd. It could come down to that last game of the season between A&M and LSU of who finishes 2nd in the West. So if I had to put money on it, that's kind of what would happen. So that's just kind of my thoughts on LSU. Like I said, y'all keep the comments coming. We appreciate everybody that's listening and watching. You got something you want to add or interject? Just put it there in the comment section. Go ahead, Jack.
I just going to say, be honest, last year when they beat Florida, and to me, they had no business beating Florida in that game. But we had the shoe Mageddon, as I call it, happen. But in all honesty, they put up a fight against Florida that whole entire game. So, like you said, they do have talent. Is it going to gel in time? It'll take some time for them to gel, but how are they going to be later in the season when they have to play Alabama and A&M? Are they going to be competitive against those two teams? Because it will gauge on how they may be next year for sure, especially if you got Johnson or I think Brennan might be a junior or a senior this year. I'm not sure, but if Johnson steps up, like a lot of people have been saying, he's really really talented and going to make a push this fall. That may be a gauge for the team next year with him leading it.
Yeah, it's a lot. LSU is going to be an interesting team to watch this year. I'm looking forward to. Of course, we're looking forward to the college football season, but I'm looking forward to seeing how Coach O kind of navigates this season. With the stuff off the field that's going on, along with trying to coach a football team. So a lot to look forward to with that LSU team. And the last team of the day was South Carolina. Of course, Shane Beamer is now their head coach after the disaster that was Will Muschamp there in Columbia, South Carolina. I'll be honest with you, watching today's media days, Beamer was very impressive. He looked calm, cool, and collective. He had all the answers. He knew what to say. He knew how to handle the situation. Very, very surprised at how well he done today, considering it was his first SEC media days. And so that really impressed me. Now that may not really have anything to do with how his team performs on the field,
right?
But he did. To me, he won the day. If I had to pick a winner of the day, from this first day of SEC media days, he done really well there, answering all the questions. And I will say this: Muschamp didn't leave the cupboard completely bare. There's some talent there on that defense. I'm not going to try to say one of their defensive players' name. Y'all all know who I'm talking about because I do not want to butcher it. They also have Jordan Birch on the defensive line, who's coming back, a former 5-star player. Their quarterback, he's a solid player. He was highly recruited. Of course, Kevin Harris is one of the best running backs in the SEC. You can make the argument, outside of Tank Bigsby from Auburn, maybe the best running back in the SEC. So talent there. They have another guy running back who they're really high on, who was out last year with an injury. So South Carolina is a team that I'm interested in seeing how Beamer does there. Jake, what do you think of the first of all? What do you think of the Beamer hire for South Carolina? And let's just be honest. How good of a job is the South Carolina job?
Yeah, Javion Clowney's not walking through them doors again. So you need an elite talent like that, to kind of build your program around. But Beamer, I thought, I think it's going to be all right. For South Carolina, they had their heyday. Their glory game was against Alabama, in 2010, I think it was, where Stephen Garcia just went out of his mind. But I think they finished like 9-3 that season still or something. I mean, so in all honesty, to me personally, I don't think you'll see South Carolina even with Beamer. I don't be a competitor on the East side just because, you still got Georgia, you still got, Florida, Kentucky, can be a X factor in the East. So, to me, I think he's going to get them better. I think they'll be probably an 8-9 win team. That's what I think. Not this year. I'm just talking about in the future. In the future, yeah. I mean, I think they could potentially maybe win 5 or 6 this year just because of that. I mean, they just hand the ball to Harris and that other stud that they got. That they should be fine. But defensively, they do have some talent, like you said. They could probably make some stops, but as long injuries, especially South Carolina, depth is a problem. So, if they get one of them guys injured, then you're done for pretty much. So, I think in the future they'll be an 8-9 win team, which I think program and historic wise, that's a great, great achievement for them. So
they'd sign him to a lifetime contract if he
right.
was able to deliver that. Let's since it is his first year there, let's kind of look at their schedule and kind of go through it and see what we think is a win and what we think is going to be a loss. Let's just look here. First game of the year is Eastern Illinois. That's a dub.
W easy.
Then their next game is at East Carolina. I still think that's a dub.
I think that's a W too. So there's two wins out of the 5 or 6. I said.
So the next game, it's a big L. It's at Georgia.
Ooh, yeah, that's not
probably gonna be a rough day there. Of course,
right
now, year before last, South Carolina went in there and upset Georgia. So
that's true.
I guess you never know, but that's 99 out of 100 times Georgia's going to win that game pretty easily.
Right.
So right now they sit at 2-1. Now here's an important stretch of their schedule, Jake. Listen, the next 4 games, this is going to make or break their season. The next game after Georgia is home against Kentucky.
Ooh, that's one to circle.
Let's leave that one alone for right now. Okay, the next game is home versus Troy. That's a win.
That's a W. So there's 3.
That's 3 wins. Then they're at Tennessee.
Whew. That potentially could be a win.
I think they beat Tennessee.
I do too.
I think they're probably ahead of what Tennessee is right now.
I believe they are.
I think Tennessee is they're awful right now. They're a dumpster fire.
Yeah. They're down there. Tennessee's down there with Vandy. We'll talk about that another time.
Well, yeah. And Vandy is their next game.
Okay, so there's your 5 wins right there.
By the second to the last week of October, they've already got 5 wins.
Potentially.
They potentially have. I mean, the 5 games that we have them winning are very winnable games,
right,
for them. So
yeah.
Then truthfully, Jake, I don't see them winning another game. Just looking at it, next week they go to A&M.
Ooh, tough.
Host Florida.
Tough.
At Missouri.
Ooh, that'd be a good game.
Now they do get to host Auburn.
I think Auburn's got too much talent.
I do too. It's. I think I'm 60-40. Auburn wins that one.
Yeah,
and of course the last game is Clemson. So
and they ain't got a chance there, unfortunately.
Right. So then we go back to that Kentucky game that we kind of left off. So
it all hinges on that.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, if I'm not sure how the bowl system is going to work anymore. It's so weird now. The COVID year kind of threw everybody off. But
yeah,
we're looking at a team that could go 5-7 or 6-6. Jake, if they go 6-6, I think give a round of applause to Shane Beamer and that staff. So
yeah,
that's kind of interesting. Just looking at that schedule, a very manageable schedule for Shane Beamer in his first year. So that is a team to watch out east.
Yeah, I've watched Will Muschamp as a coordinator. He just never clicked as a head coach, but just my opinion, going to South Carolina is going to be tough to win there because most of the time the East is kind of leveled out because usually you don't see Tennessee as this bad, right. And Georgia and Florida is always good. Vandy's always going to be Vandy, unfortunately. They had their glory a few short years ago when they made the top 25 and ran their mouths about Bama, and Alabama beat them like 59-0 or something like that. Yeah. But so they're always going to be a bottom feeder. But Tennessee's usually not this bad. Kentucky has improved since I can never think of their coach's name. I'm brain dead.
Mark Stoops.
Stoops, yeah. Ever since he's been there, they have increased their win totals every year. So Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and South Carolina to me, or Missouri and South Carolina is right there at 4 and 5 potentially for me.
Missouri is a team I'm kind of got my eye on this year as well, and we'll talk more about them later this week. But the 3 teams we covered today, Florida, LSU, and South Carolina. None of the teams, I don't think any of those teams will compete for the SEC championship this year. I don't think LSU quite has enough horses to keep up with Alabama and Texas A&M. Florida, I just don't see them having enough to keep up with Georgia right now. Just on that east side, I just don't see anybody competing with Georgia. They're loaded. Of course, we know what type of talent they have, and of course now they have JT Daniels at quarterback, who's a proven playmaker. So they're going to be interesting to watch. And of course, they open up that first game with Clemson, and I do want to do something, Jake. This is we've kind of wrapped up the first day of SEC Media Days, and I think we can go a few more minutes. And like I said, if you're watching still, make sure you jump in the comment section, leave us, your thoughts on just, whatever you want to leave your thoughts on. Well, it don't have to be just about the SEC Media Days today. It can be any type of question or comment regarding Alabama or the SEC. But Jake, I know you're on your computer here, so you need to get your typing fingers ready. I want you to look at some of these SEC schedules and kind of talk about some of the non-conference matchups that you might be looking for the most. And while you're searching for all that, I want to tell everybody again to make sure they head over to betonline.ag, sign up today, get that 50% welcome bonus so you don't miss out on any of the great bets that they have on betonline.ag, whether it's futures, parlays. They got it at betonline.ag. All right, Jake is pulling up some SEC schedules there on his computer, so he's going to be looking at some of those. When he finds a non-conference game that really catches his eye, he's going to talk about it. The game that has my eye is Liberty at Ole Miss.
Oh,
Hugh Freeze against Lane Kiffin.
Wow, dang, that's an interesting matchup. Now I think Kiffin's got too much firepower, too much talent, more than Liberty, but I could see that game being like 55-48. I mean, high scoring game to me because both offenses run like a fast paced offense.
Oh yeah.
So
and Liberty returns Malik Willis at quarterback.
That's true.
So, dude, that game's both teams will be in the 50s in that game.
Yeah, I agree. To me, I didn't really have to search much because I seen this. I've been thinking about this. I talked to my brother-in-law about it. He's a big Barner. But the third game of the season for Auburn is Penn State. I think it's third or fourth game, Penn State.
I think it's the second.
It might be the second game. So second game for them is Penn State. That is going to be a challenge for Auburn to see how Hartson is and how Bobo and him get along. I mean, you still got Tank. They still got Tank. Tank, like you said, is probably one of the best running backs in the SEC. And they've got a lot of, they're talking about my brother-in-law especially saying that their defense is stacked, which I think they were one of the best defenses this year in the SEC. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to me to see how if that offense can click early in the season, especially Bo with some of his new guys at wide receiver. So
yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be an interesting game. Another one I'm going to throw out. I believe it's the same weekend as Penn State and Auburn. It's Arkansas at Texas.
That's wow. Get to see Steve Sarkisian, against Arkansas. That'd be, my new co-host that I got a new show, coming up tomorrow night.
Jay, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and plug that real quick.
Yeah,
so everybody can keep up with that.
It's going to be called oh gosh,
you don't even know the name of the show.
I'm brain dead, dude. I'm give out. It's going to be called Best of the West. There we go. It's called Best of the West. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the West and how we see it shaping up. And I've got one of the topics that I know for sure of that Steven, the Positively Ole Miss, the one that's putting it together, he's the host of that show. You saw it. I'm sure, he kind of called out Alabama and said that he sees like a 9-3 season for Alabama. So I'm going to give my thoughts about that, and he's excited to hear it. But talking about Arkansas, reminded me co-host on that part of the Hot Talk podcast.
Let me ask you this: did he explain why he thought that?
Yeah, there's a thread, a long thread. Questions at quarterback. Bryce Young
quarterback.
Being young and inexperienced, stuff like that. Don't really have he called it a threat at running back, but I'm going to give my opinion on it. But Arkansas, I think, and I'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow night with him as well. But I think they're going to be a surprise team in the West this year to look out for. So
Ole Miss?
No, Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like Sam Pittman.
Yeah, Sam Pittman's done a good job of putting together a staff. And, aside from Nick Saban last year, I'm not sure anybody else in the conference got more out of their roster than Sam Pittman. So, yeah, I think he done a really good job last year. And I guess I need to look for that thread. I hate to sound like an Alabama homer and an Alabama, an arrogant Alabama fan, but anybody that thinks Nick Saban's going to have a team that goes 9-3, I mean, unless to me that may happen at the end of Saban's career, but he ain't slowing down right now.
No. Yeah, I give my opinion on
it. Here's my question. The same people that are saying that Bryce Young is a question mark at quarterback this year are the same people who was saying he should have started over Mac Jones last year. So which one is it? Which one is it?
Yeah, that's a good point. And look what Matt did.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that crap that Bryce Young is new. Oh, well, last year you thought he should start over Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm. And Matt led us to a championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's always people always have to have something. We don't have a playmaking running back.
Mm-hmm. Questions at wide receiver.
We don't have a playmaking running back.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Robinson Jr. has 1,300 career rushing yards and 15 touchdowns at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody see Jason McClellan bust a 80-something yard touchdown run against Arkansas last year, who, by the way, was one of the better defenses in the conference?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody watch that?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody watch John Mechie get nearly 200 yards receiving against Texas A&M last year? I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And go for nearly 1,000 yards is really about the third option on the team. I saw that. Who else saw that?
Mm-hmm.
Are we forgetting that Alabama still has Evan Neal, the best offensive tackle in college football? Or you could make that argument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that Alabama's going to win every game, but saying that Alabama's going to go 9-3, man, I just think that's a little bit of wishful thinking on other fan bases' parts. And I'm not trying to sound like an arrogant Alabama fan, and I'm sure I am, because it just kind of it gets under my skin, especially when people talk about Bryce Young, because all you heard last year was that Mac Jones shouldn't start. He's not that dude. It needs to be Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm. And
now all of a sudden, Bryce Young is not experienced enough to play quarterback at Alabama. Give me a break, guys. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is it?
Right.
But either Bryce Young can play or he can't. We're going to find that out. And all I know is he looked damn good in the 8A game. And I know that's a scrimmage. But you know what? He scrimmaged against some pretty good football players.
He was scrimmaging against 5-star talent.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the dude knows how to play football, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I'll get my comments tomorrow night on it. Well,
I look forward to that.
Yeah. But
is that going to be a live stream, or is it going to be?
I believe so. So.
Good.
So I'll make sure it'll be shared on Twitter and all that. And but I'm going to ask you a question real quick, Stacey. Okay. While we got a few more minutes here, but and I've always said this, and a lot of people I've seen saying that A&M might upset Alabama this year because they right up there talent wise, maybe. But I still think to this day, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I'm thinking maybe more 2-3 years down the road still, but I still believe that if there is going to be a Saban disciple to beat him, it's going to be Lane Kiffin. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, Kiffin's the only one that's been close in his first year, and everybody's and to the Texas A&M point. I mean, Jimbo's got a good team, but he's lost a quarterback, and I mean they still got Spiller, but we beat him by 30 last year, 24 to 30 points. Yeah. So, and he's pretty much got the same team minus the quarterback. So Kiffin.
I'm going on a little rant here tonight, and it's something that just really frustrates me because all these other people want to talk about how great Texas A&M is. And you know what? All they did was lose their all-time leading passer pretty much. I mean, the record holder, but nobody's holding that against Texas A&M.
Right.
But, Alabama loses their guy and, they're going to go 9-3. Yeah, give me a break. As far as the Saban assistant that has the best chance, if anybody's going to beat him, it's either going to be Jimbo or Kirby this year, to me, in my opinion. If Kirby don't get it done this year, man, I don't know when he will. I really don't.
I don't think you will.
It's and not that it can't happen. It's just that, I mean, he's come close a few times. Of course, the 2nd and 26 blew it there.
Yep.
He blew the SEC championship game the next year.
4th and 11.
Yeah, I mean, he blew that.
Yeah.
Then last year they have a 3-point lead going into halftime and then get shut out in the second half. I mean, I'm not trying to. Kirby Smart is a great football coach. Don't get me wrong, and he can recruit with the best of them. But man, he blows it against Nick Saban in Alabama. He just does.
Yep.
And Nick Saban gets the better of him in the second half, and I don't know if it's just experience, if it's just something mentally, but Nick Saban has the upper hand against Kirby Smart in the second half of games, and if Kirby's going to beat Nick Saban, he's going to have to do it this year. This is one of Kirby's most talented teams, and of course, Alabama is replacing a lot. But I mean, I'm still expecting Alabama and Georgia to be there in Atlanta for the SEC championship game, and I just feel like if Jimbo doesn't do it in the regular season, Kirby has the best shot there in the SEC championship game. And the truth is, they both could beat him this year. They both have good enough teams to do it. I mean, that's just the truth.
Right.
But I don't think that will happen. I think the most likely of the scenarios is that Kirby could get Alabama in the SEC championship game, and but I ain't betting against Nick Saban. I mean, I just ain't gonna do it, and I definitely ain't gonna bet that Alabama's gonna go 9-3.
I want to find out. I don't think he's going to win the show, but I need to find out what 3 losses he sees Alabama having, because in all honesty, I don't think Miami's going to beat us. No. I do not see that, and I've already seen somebody say that's a game to watch, that Alabama could be an upset. Like, give me a break. But you said Jimbo, maybe Ole Miss, but Matt Corral, you're either going to get 6 touchdown passes out of him or 6 interceptions. So him leading your squad, but I mean, Lane's going to give you your best shot. Just it's Lane Kiffin. Mississippi State still 3 or 4 years away. Arkansas 2 or 3. Tennessee's in shambles. Auburn, we do have to go to the Plains and Auburn Jesus every year down there. So that could happen, but I just don't see Alabama losing 3 games, unless he's also talking about the bowl game that we go to and we play whoever, but I just don't see it.
I can't. I mean, I know it, and it's probably just, Jake, it's probably just wishful thinking from another fan's perspective.
Right.
I mean, I get that, but man, I try to keep it real here. I mean, look, is Alabama capable of going undefeated and winning it all again? Of course. Are they capable of slipping up against A&M or Georgia? Of course.
Right. Yeah.
But Jake, to think that Alabama is going to go 9-3, I mean, that blows my mind. I mean, that's not being real. I mean, when was the last time they lost 3 games?
No, gosh, it's been what?
Over a decade ago.
Wasn't the Utah? Yeah.
2010.
The Utah year, we got beat by Utah, wasn't it? So, yeah, I just don't see Alabama losing 3 games this year. I don't see them losing. As long as it's Saban there, I think we're going to be in the hunt every year. That's just my personal opinion. Now, like you said, and his downfall of his career, the ending of it, potentially, but right now he's still in his heyday, and he's going out there for blood. He's going out there for wins, and he's going out there for championships. And so he's going to have his guys ready to go. So that'd be interesting to talk about tomorrow night. Just tune in to hear my thoughts on it. But I think Alabama will be fine. I mean, that defense, my gosh, we talk about every time we get on here, but that it's probably going to be the best defense we've had since 2014,
2016,
2016. Yeah. So that's going to be hard to come, score on Alabama, I think, this year.
Yeah, man. I think Alabama's defense is going to be great. Mm-hmm. I have all the confidence in the world in Bill O'Brien and Bryce Young. I really do. But like I said, it's possible they slip up a time or two. Not 3, though. They ain't going to lose 3.
No, maybe 2, but Saban don't lose 3 games in a season.
I mean, it's just, just go back and look at the history.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, well, we've went over 40 minutes here today on our live show, just kind of recapping the first day of SEC Media Days. Then we kind of talked a little bit about, the rest of the West and the rest of the East and kind of what we're looking at there.
We got a Stacey rant.
Yeah, we got a rant here. Well, look. Like I said, I don't want to sound like an arrogant Alabama fan, but you can't be a person last year who was saying Bryce Young should have started over Mac Jones, and now this year you're saying Bryce Young isn't experienced enough to carry Alabama. You can't have it both ways.
No.
So
they want to, though.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Hey, make sure y'all head over to betonline.ag. Get that 50% welcome bonus. It's free money. And then go subscribe to our YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, just wherever you find podcasts. That's where we're at. We appreciate all those that jumped in the comment section. Had a few of them today, and we really appreciate that. Like we said, we're going to try to do this again a couple more nights this week, just kind of talk about the SEC and what's going on at Media Days. We appreciate everybody listening. Like I said, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, so when we go live, you don't miss it. All right, Jake, let's head out now. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.